Good evening, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to News in Focus. My name is Faraz Patel. We'd like to thank you, the viewer, for staying with us here on Hilal TV, DSTV channel 347. Now, as the continuous debate regarding South African Hujjaj continues, Al Jama Party leader Hanif Hendricks has stepped in to raise concerns over the challenges facing local Hajj pilgrims. In a meeting with Saudi Arabia's ambassador Faisal Al Harbi, Hendricks' appeal for relaxed visa rules, broader access to the Nusuk platform, and even funding support for 2,000 financially struggling South Africans longing to embark on the sacred pilgrimage. He has also spoken about potentially increasing the current quota. Joining me now via Zoom is Mr. Hendricks itself. Mr. Hendricks, always good having you on. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah. Mr. Hendricks, let's start off, of course, with the increase in the quota. Currently, 1,140. You are asking the Saudi Hajj Ministry, or you've put a recommendation of 2,500. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, look, as you know, that there's a formula that the international Muslim countries have established, and that is 0.1% of the Muslims in the country. So there is a lot of problems in the Saudis giving any extra visas. So this year they have been under a lot of pressure, and they're sticking strictly to the rule 0.1 of the number of Muslims in the country. So the figure that they got from South Africa is that there's just over 900,000 Muslims. And we know that we are 5 million, and let's settle on 4 million. So the Muslims in South Africa is so we are unable to provide the count of Muslims in South Africa. So we discussed all this with the Saudi ambassador, and he told me, all I want is a letter from your government telling me how many Muslims there are in South Africa, and that is sufficient. And then we will apply the 0.1% rule, because the kingdom is under a lot of pressure from other countries, watching them like a hawk, because they say that Saudi Arabia gives extra visas for trade benefits and other benefits. So myself and the minister, I told him, that figure is wrong, which they got. But I said, but that's the only figure that your government has supplied.
That's 900,000.
Which is
Am I right, Mr. Hendricks? 900,000 is the figure.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. All
yeah,
right.
But that was in 2022. So they've just added a bit extra to make it 1,145. You know how these statisticians work. So that is why the quota is just over 1,000. So where we stand at the moment is that myself and the Saudi ambassador has agreed to double the quota, and that he will now go to his government, and he's very confident that he will succeed. Secondly, we told him about there cannot be a monopoly on the Nusuk site where our programs don't have a local service provider to book from. They've got to book from foreign companies that they don't know. So it was agreed that I can forward travel companies that put up their hands and that would meet the strict requirements of the Nusuk platform. So I have submitted one company that has come forward, and they will now get an application form, and they will be vetted to see if they can comply with the rules to be on the platform. And if they're successful, they will be number 28 on the platform. So obviously, if there are any other travel agents companies that want to be considered, I will certainly assist. And the ambassador went so far as to say, if they miss one box, then he will go out his way to make sure that they later on become compliant and successfully be on that platform, so that that South African pilgrims can choose from the other service providers and also one or two from South Africa. So that has all been done, and the Saudi ambassador has acknowledged the receipt of the recommendation that I forwarded to him that there are companies in South Africa who makes the cut. So my challenge at the moment is I have to have evidence-based. I've got to have evidence-based census of how many Muslims there are in South Africa. So last night I met with a world-class company, and they are prepared to assist me to do that census. And in 3 weeks' time, they will develop an app, and we will first do it, virtually online, and later on we will send ground forces to the different wards in the country to register Muslims on this app, and it is also biometrics, and it will then be an evidence-based a number of Muslims, which I hope will be 4 million.
Mr. Hendricks?
But later on we will... Yes?
Sorry, I have to interject there because I want to touch on Sohook. We still don't know the status of Sohook in terms of the role it's going to play for future Hajj. My understanding when I spoke to Muaz Kasu, the president of Sohook, was that they still don't know what the status is with regards to them. My question to you, Mr. Hendricks, has there been consultation with Sohook in terms of going forward for Hajj? Because again, they're not fully ruled out in terms of them assisting Hujjaj who are going to be performing the pilgrimage in the future.
Look, the decision has been made that Sohook is no longer a regulator, and that the Saudi authorities were very surprised when Sohook made an application to be an operator, and that application hasn't been approved yet. One of the things they are looking at is whether Sohook has refunded all those people who pay deposits and who had legitimate expectations to perform the Hajj this year, because it's now their turn on the queue. And so the Saudi authorities will obviously look at an operator that they feel is ethical, that has, done the right thing. So Sohook's application has been made. They filled in all the forms, but it hasn't been approved yet. Now we've submitted a second travel agent, and they now starting that process. So the Sohook is no longer a regulator. The NUSAC system, doesn't require a regulator. Now the issue is who is going to select the pilgrims. If the quota is 1,000 and 10,000 applications, who gets in, who gets out? So the policy of the NUSAC system is first come, first serve. So I addressed the issue and said, but people had legitimate expectations, and the ambassador said he's open to further discussions with me, but at the moment it's first comes, first serve. So people have registered on the system. Some of them have also got a wallet. And when the time comes, they will be asked to put money in the wallet. And when the time comes and they've selected their package and they have been selected on the first come, first serve basis, then they will then get a service provider that will look after them. What I also agreed with the ambassador is that Al Jamaa is developing a training app, and all our councillors and stalwarts and party chairpersons and so on will be trained on the app. So any Muslim, who has difficulty with online applications, they can then, and we will assist them to register online, assist them to initiate a wallet, and also assist them to actually select a package if they're one of the first come, first serve. So at the moment it's first come, first serve. So I would like to encourage every person who has made a niyat for Hajj, who has got the money to register. Secondly, then to register a wallet and put a minimum amount of money in the wallet. until they get notification that they have been selected on the first come first served basis, and then obviously select their package, and then the service provider that they've selected will take care of the rest. So the NUSAC system is a very simple system. They don't want any complications. They don't want any regulations. It's purely first come, first served.
Mr.
So
Hendricks?
we know in 2 years' time, everyone who applies for a Hajj visa will get one because the renovations in the Kaaba would have been completed.
Mr. Hendricks,
So it's just an interim arrangement.
I have to
for the
stop you
next 2
because,
years.
yeah, we have to just go for the break. The question we're going to ask ourselves after the break, can Hajj become affordable? And I think that's the burning question that everyone's asking, given the economic strains that many of our citizens are going through at this moment. My conversation with Mr. Genief Hendricks continues after this break. Welcome back to News in Focus. Mr. Hendricks, again, shukran so much for staying with us. Mr. Hendricks, I want to touch on this sort of census that you would like to conduct to try and find out, obviously, how many Muslims we have, number one, and number two, whether this can be a proposal to the Saudi Hajj Ministry to allow for more Hujjaj to participate. My question to you, Mr. Hendricks, is are you confident that, let's just say the census pulls out a number of 4 million, which I guess you are proposing the amount of Muslims that we have in this country. Are you confident that the Saudi Hajj Ministry will say, okay, we see there's 4 million Muslims, we'll allow for 4,000 Hujjaj to start making the Hajj pilgrimage?
Me that none of your government departments, wants to get involved. You have decided now to get involved because in your department you also have a population unit. So my population unit, will work with me. He said they could work with me and they could work with Stats SA. So he said, all I want from you, Deputy Minister, is a letter to say there are so many Muslims in South Africa. That's it. So my problem as a Deputy Minister is that I can't give a figure if it's not evidence-based. I reject the figure of Dirko. I told the Deputy Minister that yesterday. I told the President's Councillor in Parliament, Dr. Korenhoff, that yesterday. I reject the figure of Stats SA, and I am going to do what I've just said with your viewers. So I'm proceeding as a government or part of government. I want to do that letter, but it must be evidence-based. And the only evidence I have is the evidence on Stats SA. So that's why we're going for a Muslim census, which will also be evidence-based. A world-class organization from Dubai, they are assisting me, and they're developing the app as we speak. And people will then have to register on the system to say, I am a Muslim. And those who don't, register, we will go out and send our troops to go door to door. We have voters' rolls and things like that. So our voters' roll gives the full name of the person, and we can easily identify the Muslims. And we will tell them, please register on the app. We need to reach 4 million. So we can get 4 million Hajj visas. And then, there are too many people who are dying of a broken heart because they can afford it, some can't afford it, but they want to perform this very important pillar of Hajj. So that is my mission at the moment. I'm very passionate about it. My whole ministry is behind me, and we're going to do a census of all Muslims in South Africa, ward by ward. It ties in with the President's National Dialogue Project, which will also be ward by ward. So I will use that infrastructure, that dynamics, to assist us to knock on doors and to ask the person, are you a Muslim? How many Muslims in the house? And do biometrics. And in my biometric system we use is just cell phones. You don't need any specialized equipment or boxes. So this world-class organization that's assisting us will help me to get a count of Muslims, and then I'll write a letter. I will say, look, there are 4 million Muslims in South Africa, period. And if anyone wants the evidence, we have my own unit in my department, population. We have Stats South Africa, and the rocket scientists will say, no, this is evidence-based.
Mr. Hendricks, a lot of the discussion, and I'm going to end off with this question, a lot of the discussion has been affordability of Hajj. Now, if we base what we are reading from the Nusuk app, if you have the money, practically every year or every 2 years, you can go for Hajj. A lot of the split opinion, and these are comments that we are seeing from many within the South African Muslim public, is that with Sauk out, Hajj could be affordable. But some are saying with Sauk out also, it will not be affordable. My question to you, Mr. Hendricks, how much as a member of the Government of National Unity, as a member of Parliament, as an influential political figure, can you sway the Saudi Hajj Ministry? And I know it's not just going to have to be you, it's going to have to take a lot to try and allow for there to be affordable Hajj. Both you and I know the economy is going through difficult times, and Hajj is such an important pillar within Islam. Are we in a position, and I ask you this question, Mr. Hendricks, are we as the Muslim Ummah of this country in a position to say we can have affordable Hajj?
Look, I put it to the ambassador that it will cost 120,000 rand for a 4-star package, and that the Saudi government takes 27% of that money for the costs. And I told him it's unacceptable. And he argued with me that it cannot be so high. I told him that we looked at the packages. So it depends on, we now have to get service providers to put competitive packages on the platform, and also South African service providers that will put competitive packages on the platform. I'm very upset and disappointed that the best price at the moment is 130,000. But there are packages on the system, which you can get for 120. So it's a question of the 27% levy, let's call it levies, that is imposed, and also the strict conditions of the Nusuk system and the penalties that apply if you don't provide a first-class service. So that's why I told the Saudi ambassador, none of my pensioners, who I pay a pension to everyone, Muslim pensioners, will be able to afford a Hajj. Will you assist us with 2,000 sponsorships? And he said, well, that's quite a lot you're asking, but he will put that request to the agencies in Saudi Arabia and outside Saudi Arabia that has funds available to sponsor people to perform the Hajj. And many of my pensioners are indigent and they long to perform the Hajj. They're saving from their small pension every month. I'm getting letters from all over, that I'm now on 70,000. I still have a long way to go to reach the 100,000. They think it will be about 100,000. But at the moment, if you look at the number, it is 130,000 for a 4-star package. And the cheapest package on the system at the moment is 100,000, 120,000. So we hope the sponsors will help. But at the same time, we need to find South African travel agents that will drop their profits and that will put up a package on the system that is affordable. Because, there's a cost for a flight, there's a cost for accommodation, the local transport in Saudi Arabia, those are costs that are very difficult to negotiate. But we will just have to find a way to assist more and more South Africans to perform the Hajj. I'm responsible for people with disabilities in the country. I want many more of them also to perform the Hajj. So it's quite a challenge going forward, but I first need to get that census going and write that letter. But it has to be evidence-based. I'm not going to write a letter and I don't have evidence to back it up.
Mr. Hendricks, always good having you on. Shukran so much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
That's
barakatuh.
Hanif Hendricks, the leader of Al Jama. And of course, we will see how the census will sort of find a way to address the quota that more Muslims can attend Hajj. After the break, the global Sumud flotilla is moving closer to Gaza. As we speak, it potentially could be on the shores of Gaza. We're going to be speaking to the co-founder and CEO of Seeing TV, Yusuf Umar from Sydney in Australia. He was part of that flotilla. We're going to be having that chat with him after the break.